dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
Hello, and welcome. This is your show host, Maxine Phillips. I am so glad to be with you this evening, live and in color, as we say. But listen, tonight is special for me. I've been away on a sabbatical, but I'm back. Sometimes you have to just take a step back and just not recompose, but refresh, renew. And I had to take a sabbatical because I experienced so many deaths since August the 30th, even until this week. And when your heart is constantly being torn in so many different pieces, it's time for you just to take a little time for yourself and to try to heal, try to come through it. There's no reason why you have to continue to push forward when you know for mental capacity, you need to take time for yourself. So that's exactly what I did. I had to take time for myself, missing a lot of my different loved ones. And many times we don't confront it, we don't let people know that's what we're going through. But the other thing that I'm so thankful for today is because I'm leading up to my birthday, which is October the 25th. So tonight you have an opportunity to come on into the room with me. We're going to put the link to the StreamYard, and the producer will let each individual in so that you can come on and say happy birthday to me and let me know what have you done this year to be living your legacy. This is a life strategy show, but we're also going to be talking about what we're doing to live our legacy because life throws us a curveball. And when it does, what are we going to do in order to continue to live our legacy? But before we get started, as your show host, I want to welcome you to the Maxine Phillips Life Strategy Show, where we bring individuals on to share the strategies that they have put in place that helps them to move forward in their life. Tonight, it's all about me. It is all about me. Yes, I'm going to use a full hour to share information with you about the Maxine Phillips and all the life strategies that I put in place, the things that I have done to not inspire myself, but also to inspire others. Because I had an opportunity to do a TED Talk on October the 1st. But what led up to this TED Talk is a vision that I had about 2 years ago where I put on a vision board that I saw myself speaking in front of this brilliant audience sitting out there and sharing with them my levelless living. I am known as the levelless coach, the levelless woman, because levelless is everything that I do. I breathe, I speak. And levelless is about success without levels. Now say that with me. Success without levels. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that we are so busy trying to do what society tells us to do in order to climb a ladder, up level, advance ourselves, be promoted based on their terms and their conditions. Where levelless is all about you succeeding on your terms. We're going to keep going just the same because I'm going to say we're going to keep going just the same because we're going to keep going just the same because I'm going to say we rebuke it right now in the name of the Almighty. So as we start talking about levelless, we service youth. I'm talking about those in high school, going to college. If you're unsure exactly what career and profession you are to that's best for you, come through Levelist and let us help you to identify it, to discover it, to put a strategy in place to define what success looks like for you so that you can thrive, that you can be living your legacy every day that you're here on this earth. Also, a level, as we always say, when you're living your legacy, is about, and it's not about the number of days or years that you've lived on this earth. It's about the impact that you make while you are living. What are you doing to live your legacy? What have you done to live your legacy? And what will you do to live your legacy? As I said, when life throws you a curveball, what are you going to do in order to get around that curveball and not let it stop you in your place? I also said, it's all about me. It's all about me. Ready? Okay. All right. So I'm going to have a special guest that's going to come on here tonight and is going to talk to us about living your legacy and some of the things that he's done to put in place for his strategies. But before I call him up, what I want to do is I want to share with you when I'm talking about living your legacy and impacting the world. I want you to understand some things about yourself, and I want to share some things about me. Well, my parents are Ruth and T.W. Thompson from West Virginia. Now, my father was a coal miner, and I have a piece of coal. And this is just a representation of what he did for 37 years. 37 years in order to provide for his family, being a coal miner. So, yes, I am one of the coal miner's daughters. And I also have with me actual coal from the coal mines in West Virginia. That's right. And this is a constant reminder of my roots, where I started from, how I as a middle schooler had that levelist mindset to start journaling in my journal, in my diary as they called it back then, writing my goals and my aspirations and seeing myself into the future. Allow myself to dream, to define what I saw success. Because when I was in high school, I was told that I was not college ready. I was told I wasn't college ready. I was told that I could not walk the halls of academia and be successful. But I beg the difference because, see, with that levelist mindset and my God given abilities, not only was I able to do one degree, but 2 degrees with honors, many certifications. But what I loved most was being able to touch generations, transform generations, share my knowledge and information with others. Oh, I've touched millions. I probably would have no idea the number of individuals in which I have actually had an opportunity to touch. I remember being on the Divine show, and she gave me this beautiful award. And let me read to you what it says. My angel, Maxine Phillips. And this was in 2019. Divine connection. Dolores gave me this trophy. Dolores, thank you so much for seeing in me and allowing me to speak life and come on your show and share my knowledge with others. Again, you never know who you're going to touch whenever you're obedient to what you're being guided to do. You see, I love what I do, and I do what I love. And that's why it's so essential to me to help others do the same. Now, there is another opportunity that I have to speak. And this award here, it was from EMC, Dale, the EMC. And this was going there and talking about career strategies. We also talked about performance reviews. How do you create a performance review that shows your manager the value that you're adding to an organization? Now, there might have been 20 in that room that I was speaking with, but imagine those 20 going out telling 20 times 20 times 20. Again, you talk to millions without even realizing it. You're transforming lives without even knowing it. And they take it back home and they share it with their siblings, siblings, or they share it with their family members, or even in a community group. Again, my legacy lives. And everything that I do is monumental. And I want you to take that into consideration as well when you think about living your legacy. Remember what I said. What have you done to live your legacy? And these are some of the things in which I've done to live my legacy. I had an opportunity to speak at a women's empowerment luncheon, and this was from Holly Springs Chamber of Commerce. When you empower women, again, it's around the world. You're not just limited locally, but it can be carried through internationally. When I had an opportunity to speak to these powerful women, again, they were directors, they were presidents, they were CEOs of their own organization. And the chamber is known for what? Empowering businesses so that they can continue to grow and thrive in the community and help the community to grow and thrive. So this award right here was very special at being one of the breakout session speakers. Again, I'm going to talk about and share with you is not about the number of years or days that you've lived on this earth, but it's the impact that you make while you are living. So live your legacy. Don't limit yourself. Oh, now there was a time that I didn't talk about business every time that I gave a speech or talked to a particular group. See, this award here is from the Santa Fe. And Santa Fe what gave me this award for the leadership abilities by going out into the community and sharing diabetes, that silent killer. I had a team. There were 62 people on my team. We walked, we raised money, we brought awareness to diabetes. Again, this is living your legacy. And if we're able to touch one life and save one life, it is so worth it. Now, we as a team came together for 8 years consecutively, talking about and spreading the word about diabetes. And Santa Fe even featured me in one of their digital magazines. So imagine all the people who read about what I had done to reverse my type 2 diabetes, what I was doing to bring in awareness to not hundreds of people, not thousands of people, but millions of people about what they can do too to take control of their diabetes. Yes, I serve as a type 2 diabetes accountability coach. And you can find information about what I do under ourdiabetescoach.com. But again, this is another way of living your legacy. And my legacy, doing volunteer work and sharing about diabetes, was to save lives and bring awareness to diabetes. Again, the silent killer. I've been speaking and serving as an ambassador for the American Diabetes Association. Now, there was this one person that they ask for nominations of individuals that you know that have spoken life into other people. Dr. Nicole Beatty is one of the individuals that speak life into so many people around the world. She has touched millions of people. I never will forget when I received this award from her organization. And the award that I received was the Encouragement Award. I was so elated to receive such a prestigious award from this phenomenal woman who speaks life into others continuously all the time. And the reason why I was elated is because encouragement comes natural for me. Does it come natural for you? Think about it. Why not encourage someone else? I know Yolanda Adams sings Encourage Yourself. Many times that's what we'll need to do if we're not having someone to speak life into us and encourage us. But Dr. Beatty, she speaks life into everybody that she comes in contact with. She's another powerful woman that's speaking life and doing great things in this world. She's living her legacy, and it is monumental as well. So when I turned 60, now today, I mean, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be turning 69. 69. Oh my goodness. One from 70. Hard to believe. But I remember back in 2014, for my 60th birthday, I had a night of giving. It was about an Academy Award, Emmys. I mean, individuals received awards for their giving for walking in the Diabetes Association walk. And these are the trophies that we gave out. You know, my mother was one of the ones who received a trophy. But my mother had already gone to heaven at the time I had this, but she was there for like, we had 8 years of it, and she was there the first 5 years of it before she transitioned to heaven. When we presented this award to my mother, and my sisters came forth to receive the award, they brought me to tears because here I am giving the award to my mother, and my sisters received it. And they turned around and made an announcement that they wanted me to have the award because of everything that I had done, not only for the family, but for the community and impacting the world. So that meant so much to me. Again, living my legacy, and it is monumental. So, those are some of the things that I've done in order to live my legacy. I have another one that I like to show to you. And this one here is from the North Carolina Project Management Institute. When I had an opportunity to share career services, career empowerment, I put on several workshops. I never will forget the one series of workshops that I put on was 3 consecutive weeks. There were 19 individuals in the class. Of the 19 individuals, those that attended, 18 of them received job offers. Did you hear what I said? 18 of the 19 received job offers. The very first workshop that I had done in this series, a young lady came to me that next week and said, Maxine, she said, that one tip that you gave us that night, and you said, go home and do it immediately. She said, you had no idea that I had an interview the next day, but because I followed your instructions and I had gone home and I researched the organization like you told me to, I learned the things that you said about the mission, the vision, their competencies. She said, and because of that, the very first question, like you said, that they could ask is, what do you know about this organization? And she said, I was able to tell them what I knew and how it applied to me adding value to their organization. She said, I want to share with you that I feel within my soul that that is the reason why they made me a job offer. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, are you living your legacy? What have you done to live your legacy? What are you doing to live your legacy? And what will you do to live your legacy? It is so essential that you answer those questions so that every day that you're here on this earth, you are living your legacy and you are making an impact. Tomorrow is not promised. So you need to do today what you can do today while you can do it. Those are just a few of the things that I've done in my lifetime to impact the world, to transform generations, to pay it forward, to make a difference. But what are you doing? What are you doing? Do I have anyone out there can answer those questions? Are you listening? Are you chiming in? Are you letting me know that you're here? And if you have an opportunity to listen to this later, still answer those questions. Because the sooner you can answer those questions, the sooner that you'll know if you are living your legacy. So I have an individual that's going to come on tonight. And listen, we're going to, Mark, I want to thank Pod TV, first of all, for allowing me this platform to come on and talk. You know, we air to over 200 countries. We stream to Roku, Pod TV Live, Amazon Live. So just know that you have an opportunity to revisit this information at a later time. So, Mark Lee, the producer here at Pod TV, is going to join me right now. I've known Mark for the last probably 8 years. Yeah, probably 8 years. Hey, Mark, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good and everything. Things are definitely going busy. We got a film that'll be showing here at Hayti. It's actually about people that grew up in coastal North Carolina, and that'll be showing on Wednesday. And then Brother Youssef, who is a jazz icon, they'll be doing a salute to him on Friday and Saturday. So we definitely doing a lot in our cultural space here at the Hayti Heritage Center where I'm at on this particular day and all along that lines. But definitely it is interesting hearing people talk about that generational legacy, and you were talking about my own generational legacy and even your own generational legacy. Ironically, and I think I've told you this before, there are some shared birthdays because I know your birthday is getting ready to come up and everything. My you might as well call her my sister-in-law because her and my younger brother have been together for a number of years, but she just celebrated her birthday and is in that science lane. So Celia Ponder just had her birthday on yesterday, and then
Look
Malik,
at
my brother,
that.
has his birthday on Thursday. So ironically, even though they are different astrological signs, because I think the 22nd falls in the Libra category and Malik is a Scorpio, they have been together for a number of years and they have that blended Brady Bunch kind of family. Because even though they're not married as of yet, even though they are definitely brother, I mean, definitely a boyfriend, girlfriend, and have been even exchanged rings and all of that space. But, life gets in the way, as you just talked about, and there have been some health concerns and other concerns. So they haven't, and of course, we all went through COVID, so they haven't jumped the broom as of yet. But we're hoping that it will be the third time being the charm and that will happen in the not too distant future. But definitely, she is a wonderful woman and she has two kids, and my brother has my two nephews. So they do that whole blended family thing as well because her older daughter is I want to say a college sophomore or maybe a college junior, and then the younger brother on that side of the family is I think he's either a junior or a senior in high school, and then my nephews are 14 and 15. So it's kind of like they are blended, but they also get inherited two older siblings when Malik got together with Cecilia several years back and all in that space. So this kind of like the Brady Bunch blended family kind of thing where they hang out and go to soccer matches and go to activities together and all in that space. So that's one of the things that we even see in this modern day where people are having these blended families, broken families that are crafted together and everything. And even
Exactly.
in that space, my brothers, the mother of their child, they still come to events as well. So even though that marriage didn't work out, they still are helping raise the kids together as well. So definitely that is also part of the conversation that goes on when we're trying to think about life lessons and things that are going on in that life space and that kind of like stuff that you talk about a lot of times and even that legacy. Because as I've said before, I know that my parents had that radio station, which is part of our legacy, and my grandmother founded the African American Library there in Raleigh, which is part of our legacy. So definitely we try to create our own path and our own parts of society. So we want to make sure, whether it's me or my younger brother, that we are doing our part of making it a better world. But we also honor the legacy of those that are still with us, because I'm fortunate to have both of my parents here in this planet and with us living and everything. But we honor their past, but we also honor those that have moved on, like my grandmother, like my Uncle Randy, and a number of others that have moved on as well. So we definitely try to honor that in this building in the creation of a better world.
Wow. And the thing about you talked about blended families, and that's living your legacy as well. Because when you blend those families, then you got that support system. You got different individuals, you got different legacies, you got different heritage, you got different individuals in the family. So you got different families coming together. So you're learning about each other, and it could be different cultures that you're learning about, and that's where that blendedness happens, and it happens in life, so we don't limit ourselves to one way or the other. We have to be open, and openness will allow you to live your legacy as well, because when we have a closed mind or a fixed mind, then we don't allow the universe to open us up to allow other great things to happen through us and with us.
You definitely have to do that. And like you said, you have to be open. We on my show earlier today, the radio show, I had two people, a business coach and a advocate for things around aging and all along that line. And that's one of the things we were talking about was being having integrity, because integrity is part of that legacy as well, but also being a very authentic. And that's one of the things that I've said on your show as well as other shows that I appreciate about what Pod TV has been doing, as well as they are very authentic, and they're trying to give different people, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Sharon, an opportunity to express some of their stories as well, and to even give a platform to people to share their stories. Because I know that you've had some people. I remember that you had the young lady that was a cook that was in this lane, and you've definitely had some other business
Yes.
coaches, and of course we have that gentleman that's very much in the history lane. So a lot of times this is opportunities that we are giving people that they might not always hear in that space. So I think that authenticity is very important, and a lot of times we don't hear enough of that in the media. And integrity is very much an important of the conversation as well. So definitely that is part of what we were talking about. In the young lady, Miss Peltier, that was out of Arizona, was talking about how much she likes that notion of integrity, and also being true to ourselves, and also being empathetic as well.
Right. And let's just double check that we're on Levelist Code, just to make sure that everything is up and going on Levelist Code. Can you just double check that for me
I would
right
double check. I know it's on the Level is Code YouTube. I think it was on the Level is Code Facebook as well. I know we were having some things going on with the Facebook, and part of that, speaking of authenticity, is that sometimes the things get crashed and all along those lines. So we have been having some issues around the Facebook side of things, but we're working on correcting those. But it's definitely going to Roku, and it is definitely going to the Level is YouTube for sure, and
All
everything. But
right, all right. And Mark, is there any way that we can put the link out there for the StreamYard in case there's individuals out there? And listen, I'm opening up StreamYard tonight. Usually I don't do this now. This is special because what it is all about me tonight.
I
And
can definitely put the link out there. We can make a
I,
brand, and if people want to jump on and
come on
share their
in.
thoughts around you, we can definitely do that. And I can even do that as we're talking. But yeah, I'm going to cut and do a cut and paste, and I will stream that across. And if folks are watching and they want to jump into the conversation, we are sure that they would love to have you be celebrated, because it is your birthday week and it's all about celebrating Maxine. So we can definitely have folks jump on and celebrate you if they are watching and want to follow this particular stream that I just put out there, and all along those lines. So that is the StreamYard that is there. And if they want to jump on
Come
that,
on in and say happy birthday.
yep.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday. Listen, I love to dance. And it's my birthday, so I can do this. So if you want to come in and say happy birthday, then do that link. And Mark is the producer, so he'll see you in the back room, and he'll, you know, check you out, make sure that everything is legit, because we don't want anyone to come on and do anything that's going to hinder us from
Yeah.
always having that integrity and character and our brand. So
No, we
let's
definitely want people to jump on and share their positive messages about you and everything along those lines. I don't know if you know this, but there is a lady that I know you have worked with, and I have worked with her before. But they did a very powerful event this weekend. I actually had the pleasure of working briefly with Stedman Graham, as he jokingly like to say. Most people know me as Oprah's man, because that's what a lot of people know him as. But Eva Ford was doing a 2 day social work wealth conference, not social work welfare, but social work wealth conference. And Veronica Hardy, who I know you know Veronica Hardy as
right.
well, was one of the organizers of that. So they reached out to me to see if I could help with some of the technical stuff, because they were using the StreamYard parent company, which is now Ring Central. It was hopping, and definitely it was a powerful workshop. There was a young lady, Stacy Madison, I believe she's originally from the Northeast, and also has some roots to California, and even some roots here to North Carolina, because I was telling her about you because her daughter is going to North Carolina State. So I told her about
Okay.
you and Kim and saying that they might need to connect with you as well because they could travel back and forth. Because I think she's a wanting to study journalism or something along those lines. But definitely, she is a very strong person that you should be connecting with.
That sounds like a winner, Mark. And what Mark has just introduced is the fact that when you're unsure what that career direction you are to go, Levelers was one of the ones who can assess it in order for you to make sure that your abilities and strengths matches up with the career degree or the career path that you're going to take. And it's all about you thriving in what you are seeing yourself doing. And as Mark was talking about the activity he attended this week, I
Mhm.
want to share with you that as a member of the Nightdale Rotary Club, we are having a phenomenal Hope Ball that's coming up this Friday at 8 o'clock at in Nightdale at First and Main. Now,
Mm.
get this, it is a gala and it is a fundraiser. But I want you to understand that Rotary is about self, what they say, service above self, which means that's what I have stood for ever
Want
since
to
I
sit back
was
here?
50 years old. And that 18 years old has given me 50 years of volunteering. So just know that if you're looking for something to do on Friday night, come on. Go to Eventbrite. I'm gonna put the link up there so you can get your ticket now. Tickets are everything has been pretty much sold out. It's selling out anyway, but we have one or two more tickets left. So go on and become a part of this Hope Ball so that we can help our young people. It's about youth development, is about food spare disparities, and is about community engagement. And those are the three things that we will be giving back to with this with the we call them scholarships or we call them fundraisers. But however we can help impact the community and the world, that's what we need to be doing. And again, that's living your legacy.
No, definitely living your legacy. Hey, Maxine, just out of curiosity, because you had talked about it before, and like I said, I think on one of our phone calls, I had thought about joining, and I just knew that my funds at the moment were not allowing me to join it. But could you talk about the importance of being part of civic organizations? Because you mentioned Holly Springs, and ironically, the guy that runs one of our major breweries and everything is, oh, actually, he's the representative for Shoe Crazy, which is a wine company. But that's Donald Brumfield, who's into the jazz space, also lives in Holly Springs. But whether it's Chamber of Commerce, whether it's the Rotary, whether it's the Lions Club, whether it's a number of these other organizations, I sometimes think that
Right.
we as a people don't understand the reasons that we should be joining these organizations. So I was just wondering if you could speak to that because I sometimes think that we don't exercise as much connection as we probably could be doing, and we sometimes neglect some of these organizations. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around why you joined and how you have gotten some benefits from those organizations.
Well, Mark, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that I've been volunteering for over 50 years. I had to take a step back and realize that I've been volunteering with youth, with nonprofit, for profit, associations, Rotary. You're talking about diabetes. You're talking about the American Heart Association. You talk about March of Dimes when we used to hear about March of Dimes. You're talking about all these different hospitals. I volunteered because I felt that I wanted to have a way of giving back,
Mm-hmm.
that I have gifts and talents that I was given at birth. Not everything that I do, someone end up paying me quote, quote, dollars for. But the pay that I receive in return is living my legacy. My legacy moves forward. I come from a family of 12. I am the eighth child from West Virginia. I always say I was surrounded by mountains of influence, but society deemed me as being poor. And see, I wasn't that smart child in school because, see, my mother went to the 11th grade and my father went to the third grade. So consequently, I found myself in that in between situation where I didn't know how to learn and how to study. So my GPA wasn't as great as it could be. But if I had the ability to go to after school care, or if I had the ability and transportation in order to belong to some of these different associations where I could have been mentored, where I could have received some of these words of wisdom at an earlier age, no telling what I would be doing right now at the age of 69. So when you give back to these organizations and you give of yourself and it's unselfish and you don't expect to receive quote quote dollars, when you give back, you're helping these young people advance in life. You don't know what their home life is like.
Mhm.
You don't know what the parents are going through just to survive, just to make a living, to bring bread home or food home and put it on the table for these children. I remember when my son enrolled in college, right? Here we are in a quote, quote, middle class in a sense, because at that time I had advanced, got degrees, and was making okay money, but we didn't make enough money to pay his college tuition. But we made too much money in order to get grants.
Mm.
Now go figure that. So when you give back to these organizations, you helping these children that's sitting in there, or you helping even a young person that you're mentoring because you're a part of their life, then they don't have to seek out and do the negative things. You can share them with the positive things. You can be in the room for them. You can support them. You can be a voice for them when they don't even know what to say, how to say it, and the way to say it. You can also be someone who's looking out for jobs for them. This is the reason why you want to become involved with some of these associations like the Lions Club, like the Rotary, like the Boys and Girls Club. So there's a lot of different organizations like giving back to the 100 men, the black men, so we have a lot of our black and brown young men who needs mentors. So
Yeah.
you can volunteer. And just because you're not a male, as a female, we can still volunteer because we can hold workshops
Hmm.
in order to teach them. So there's so many rewards. Mark, one of the things that I read earlier in life, I read a story about Denzel Washington.
Hmm.
Denzel Washington's mother took him to the beauty shop that she worked at.
Right.
He watched those women engage in conversations. And as a consequence, he learned about different personalities. He could interact some of the exact scenes that he has seen them talking about, right? So, how do you think he became such a great actor? Not only did he have it naturally, but he had also seen it for himself and he knew different characters. When I read about that, I'm like, see, you never know who's paying you attention. You never know the impact that you're making on a child just by being you and doing what you're called to do.
No,
So,
no
don't,
doubt about that. And speaking of
yeah,
which, we do have somebody that dropped in, and we'll see if he wants to get on camera. But I did see that Tony Mercer just popped in, and maybe he's going to have
excellent.
some comments around your birthday and all along those lines. I did mention earlier that I can relate with what you're saying because even at Hayti Heritage Center, we talk about a lot about Black Wall Street and all along those lines. But one of the things that people forget in that story is that Mr. Merrick, who's one of the founders of Black Wall Street here in Durham, was actually
Uh,
doing the haircutting of the Mr. Duke. So he was actually learning some of their business strategy while he was being the barber to one of these robber barons, if you know that term, robber baron and everything. So they were
right.
being industrial giants. And while he was creating or helping create Black Wall Street along with Mr. Shepard, the founder of Central, and a number of others, he was actually learning some of these business strategies from a master business person. So it's almost like getting a PhD while he was cutting his hair. And I'm even seeing some modern day leaders that are doing that as well. So they might be cutting the hair, or they might be doing some of the plumbing or some of those vocational careers, but they are learning from some of these folks that might have a higher education in that sense. But sometimes you don't have to go to the fancy university in order to get the knowledge that is out there and all in that space. I'm going to see if Tony's on, so I'll bring him on and see if he's on camera.
Bring
If
Tony,
not,
yeah, bring Tony on. He's one of the Rotary members. Tony and I serve at the Nightdale Rotary Club
I,
together.
I just had to say hello and happy birthday, Miss Maxine.
Well, thank you so
You
much,
help me
Mr.
grow every
Tony.
day, so I appreciate it, sir.
I thank you for coming on, and I appreciate you for all the things that you're doing, and even volunteering with the Rotary of Nightdale, so that we can impact the community and we can help our youth. And I was telling them, sharing with them about the ball that we have coming up on Friday
Oh,
evening. And so, what we want to do is maybe even put the link to
mm,
the Eventbrite out there so that if someone wishes to join us on Friday, please do so. We still have a few tickets available.
if you
And
put that
so,
in the chat, we'll gladly do that. We'll gladly put that strolling across, and I can do it in the post comments as well. Hey, Tony, one thing I'm not 100% convinced that Maxine is really 69. She says that I think she's actually around 40 or maybe even in her early 30s. So I'm not buying this age thing when she says that she's 69 and all in that space. But I'm just wondering, what is your thoughts about Maxine as a leader? Because you are definitely somebody that has worked with her in the Rotary and all of that kind of club. So I was just wondering your thoughts around her as a leader in y'all's community there in Nightdale.
Well, I've known her for about a year, and I'm very, very impressed. It reminds me, I'm about 45, and I'm always trying to figure out. I was heavy in the community, took, how we take that break off, and she just reminds me to stay persistent on it. And so I admire her a lot. So.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I know. When I told him I had to take that sabbatical, I'm like, what? I'm like, yes, I got to back away for a little bit. But that's only to come back stronger.
Yep, no, and that's what I believe there too. So I just wanted to pop in. I wanted to tell her happy birthday. I get the email, and I said I got to join for a second. So, Mark, I'll research a little bit, learn more about your podcast. But thank y'all for everything you're doing. And Maxine, I'll see you this week.
Sounds good. See you on Friday so we can party.
You know it. So y'all have a good one.
Do the same. I appreciate that and everything. Just really quickly, and that was one of your people from your like you said, the Rotary Club and all along those lines. But how important do you think it is to take that refresher period? Because I know even with this show and other things, you sometimes have to have that pause button. I know that I'm not always good at that and everything. So as a person that is always talking about legacy and leadership, how important do you think it is to take that pause and to actually reassess what you're doing and to maybe even kind of refocus yourself, whether it is in the nonprofit world or the profit world? So I'm just wondering your thoughts around that, because I think sometimes we don't do enough of that, where we reassess ourselves.
I mean, Mark, that is a phenomenal question. And thank you for asking that question, because when in 2013, 2014, I lost 22 family and friends. When I say lost, I mean close people that I lost. When that happened to me, I wasn't for sure exactly how to handle it. Mm-hmm. I did not take time off. I did not pause. And consequently, you keep going and going and going. And before you know it, your body was shut down on you. Your mind, your body, and your spirit were literally shut down on you. I started recognizing, and when I just encountered this at the end of August through this period, I had a total of 11 family and friends that I lost. I knew then it was time for me to take a step back, because see, when you don't take a step back, you're adding more and more and more onto your plate. And stress can cause a lot of diseases, a lot of health havocs. Before you know it, you're going to end up flat on your back. So rather than ending up flat on your back, why don't you take a pause in life and then share with people why you're taking that pause? Because people are going to make up their own reasons why you're doing what you're doing. You know what you're doing. To me, it's better to just say, hey, listen, as I told them, I have to tiptoe through September very tenderly, because my heart was just torn into pieces. And I don't regret taking that time away. I appreciate, and I've had several people to come up to me and say, I appreciate you doing that, because that shows the leader that's in you. You recognize when you needed to pause and take a break. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you that don't keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself and pushing yourself, because it's only going to have havoc on your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul. It's going to affect you mentally. It's going to affect you emotionally, and it's going to affect your family, whether you recognize it or not. So don't let it affect your family to the point where you all are now having to rebuild because of it. Go on and take a pause and take a moment for yourself. Mark, the other thing I used to do when I first started my podcast, I would always start with the deep breathing. And I've gotten away from that. But my spirit is guiding me that I need to come back to that, because see, when people come to the podcast, they've had a lot of hustle and bustle in life during that day, right? And so what I used to do is play that little soft music, and in only 1 or 2 minutes, to just breathe in slowly and then let it out. And what it does, it recenters you. It allows you to focus on where you are right now, be in the moment. And by taking that pause, it helped me to understand and recalibrate, be in the moment. And that's why it's so easy for me to talk about living your legacy even more now than ever before, because that's exactly what I've done without even realizing it since the age of 18, because I stopped allowing society to dictate to me what success is all about.
No, that's very much true, and definitely you have to have your own definition of success, and you can't always have that stereotypical definition of success. Because I know some people are wanting the latest big house, or the latest big car, or the latest toy, and all of that. But a lot of times that isn't the true epitome of success. A lot of times it's what are you doing in society, and what are you doing to give back to society, and all along those lines. In my mind, that's what really makes a successful person, and definitely if it is. Going to be for you, you will get those the riches that you might be wanting. But I don't think that that needs to be the end goal and all along those lines. But I was just wondering because we are getting ready to come up on the season of giving, and I know a lot of people are thinking about what they can do to give back. I know that there have been a number of runs and other things. You mentioned diabetes. There have been definitely runs around different issues. This is Breast
Right.
Cancer Awareness Month and a number of other things. But and as we're getting ready to go into the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, your
Yes.
thoughts about the importance of giving, because I do know a lot of folks are going to be trying to figure out one whether they can give, and definitely I think that if you can afford to give, then definitely there are a number of people that can use the help, whether they are folks that don't have that turkey for their Thanksgiving dinner or can't give their kids that Christmas toy or whatever. But if you can't afford it, there are other ways that you just mentioned that you can give back without having to necessarily give back your money, because not everybody can afford to give the money or to buy those gifts for everybody. But if you have the resources and you can make that sacrifice, then definitely I encourage people to do it if they have those resources. But don't do it if it's outside of your means, because I do think sometimes think that we want to give back so much that we donate, even if we don't have the money to donate and impact ourselves as well. So
Well, you know what, Mark, about giving? It's better to give than to receive. And
right,
I know it's hard to hear that, but when you give and you give it from the heart, you
right,
will receive.
right.
You will receive, first of all, many people will tell you thank you. And then, secondly, when they pay it forward,
Mm-hmm.
and they make matters work and help others and impact others. There's so many ways that you can give. We talked about giving to the Boys and Girls Club, giving to associations, and then giving your time. The other way that you can give is that you can donate your clothing. You can
Right.
donate hats, you can donate gloves, you can donate shoes. I remember one time before I did the shoe drive, and I collected 500 pairs of shoes,
Wow.
lightly worn shoes that people were no longer using or wearing. And just imagine someone else, a homeless person, who use those shoes, or a child who her parents who cannot afford shoes. Same thing with clothes. Let me tell you what. Coming 8 or 12 children, I had plenty of hand-me-downs, and I don't even have a problem with hand-me-downs now. So I can take something and I can make one jacket work, and I can get 10 or 15 different outfits out of it, especially like this one having all the different colors, right? So you just never know how you can help a person. You can mentor a person, and also you can adopt a child. You can adopt a child for that school year. You can adopt a child or be a sponsor of that child when it comes to the assessments, the ability assessments that we do right here at Levelers. We're always looking for individuals who want to sponsor a child, and so that they can also take the assessment and understand what are their God-given abilities and what's the best profession for them while they're in high school, going into college, or while they're in college, coming out of college. You can also give back as far as sponsoring them for a resume
Mm-hmm.
or an interviewing session, or coaching sessions. So there's different ways that you can give back. And then you can also, what if a parent is working, but the parent does not necessarily have time to grocery shop?
Right.
You can have groceries delivered to the home. What if they don't have time to clean the home? Well, you can have a cleaning service to come to the house and do it. There's so many different ways that you can give back. People always so many times think it has to be you giving your money, but you can use your money knowing the services that's going to take place if you don't want to give up the cash itself. Because if you give up cash, you don't know how they're using it. But this way you do know. So I'm wholeheartedly about giving, but be intentional about your giving. How can you best serve, and how can you best help that family or those individuals? You have a lot of college students who cannot afford to pay for the application. How can you help them pay for that application to get into college? Can you write an essay on their behalf? Can you write a recommendation on their behalf? That's giving back. Can you put something on their LinkedIn profile for them to show that they have a person of character? That's giving back. And that's you living your legacy. So as you can see, everything that I'm talking about, Mark, does not require you to come out of pocket with money.
That's very true. And like I said, there are opportunities that are out there, and there are definitely ways to get involved. I know that I think I've talked to you before that I've served on a couple of boards, including some creative boards like the Durham Symphony and Mallarmé back in the day, and just recently got off the board for the Carolina Theater. And one of the things that they talked about is sometimes people think that when you're joining boards that you have to give back money, and they do like to have 100% participation from the board members, but they know that not every board member can afford to necessarily give money. So a lot of times they will say that if you can't give money, you can give of your talents as well. And sometimes that talent might be connections, it might be skill sets, and there are other ways that you can give back if you can't necessarily afford the cash donation. Because even in the organizations, they talked about that as well. Because definitely on the various boards that I have served at, definitely sometimes I might have the money and can afford a little bit of a donation, but other times I will use my skill sets to give back as well.
We have small business owners who need help as far as
Right.
marketing, as far as PR work, so that's a way of you being able to give back and even help a small business owner. So it's not just students who need it, but you
Right.
have small business owners who's struggling, with the marketing, with the content. AI can almost help us all with the content now, right? So just put a question in AI and they can almost spit everything out for you. But what about the PR piece? How do you get into the newspapers? How do you get on different podcasts? How do you become known? How do people, even with me, help me push my platform out there
Yeah.
to help people find what I do, to help our young people do what they do, to help adults who are unemployed become employed, those who are unemployed and not being paid appropriately, to help them to understand their worth. And how do you do your use so how do you create your performance review to
Right.
help your employer see the value that you're adding? We do that right here at Level Us.
No,
But
no
no
doubt.
one
Y'all doing some
knows
great things in that space. And just along those lines, that was actually one of the workshops because there was a number of workshops in addition to some major people speaking on the stage at the social work wealth conference and everything. And one of them was just what you said, because there was a young lady that is seen as the voice of authority or seen as the expert in that kind of psychology and trauma lane. And one of the things that I remember that she said is that she reached out to magazines like Inc. and Psychology Today. So she literally reach out to them and say, look, I want to be
so
an
let's
expert. I
not
want you to be your go-to person and all along those lines. So she reached out to them and basically did what some people might call a cold call, but she gave some kind of like histories. And she said that sometimes you might even hear another network. So for example, we're here where there's both ABC and CBS. So let's say that the ABC affiliate has done a story on branding and marketing and stuff like that, and you're a branding and marketing person, but maybe you don't go to that same station, you don't go to the ABC, but you go to their competition and
right.
bring that same story to them as well. So those was just some ideas that she had that make a lot of sense that people can use on a regular basis. She even talked about creating your courses and creating TED Talks. She even mentioned TED Talks. I know you just did that TED Talk, but you even talked about how you can even go, because I think she said that she went to a TED Talk uh, that wasn't even in her city, because you can go to look at who they
You
are
go
looking for.
different,
But I
right,
think she did
different
a TED
states.
Talk in Detroit, even though I think she lives somewhere in the Northeast. But she saw that they were wanting a TEDx uh, presentation, so she gave her presentation there. And as she put it, the cost for her was the cost of the airline to get there and the cost of the hotel room and everything. But it gave her a different TEDx talk other than the one that was in her natural market and everything. So that was something that she was talking about she did.
And you're right, Morgan. And there are certain things that you have to do. You have to get out of this square radius.
Right,
You cannot just stay in your one little locale. I
right,
tell everybody, I'm not just local, I'm global.
right,
Because the internet has shown us that we do not have to be just right here right now. My headquarters in the Raleigh Durham area,
right.
North Carolina, but I'm not limited to Raleigh Durham. With the internet, I am international.
Mhm.
So parents, I can work with you and your students over the Zoom, over the different platforms. You got Google Meet, you got all these different platforms. I can come to your state and I can do workshops. I can come to your church, you hold workshops. So the whole objective is to schedule it. I mean, one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on is going to be learning styles for our youth and our parents.
Mhm.
Because I know as a child, when I was in high school, I didn't do well in my classes, not because I could not learn. It was because I did not know how to learn.
Mhm.
I
And
did
they-
not know my preferred learning style. So I was all over the place. But now I know my learning style is I'm visual. I
right.
know my learning style is I'm kinesthetic. So once I see it and I interact with it, or I underline and write it or highlight it, I got it. It's
Right.
locked in. But how many students know that about themselves? How many parents know that about themselves? And parents, you and the students sitting down trying to do homework and y'all at odds with each other because you feel like the student is not paying you any attention. But they're really not paying you any attention. And it's only because you're trying to teach them how you learn and not how the student
Hey,
learns.
Maxine, and I know we're winding down and everything, but I would ask, because I've had her as a guest, and she's been a guest on even our political show as well, because she's a political consultant. But there is a friend of mine named Kelly Jones. She lives here in the Raleigh-Durham area, but she does a lot of research around Pan and Panda, and she definitely talks about a number of things that you were just mentioning, which is learning styles. And I would argue that even not just the parents and the folks that you mentioned, but I would even argue that some of the school systems themselves, including the teachers, that don't know enough about these different styles, and they sometimes teach as if we are all cookie cutter, just like we know that ethnically we are not all cookie cutter, meaning that all African Americans don't think alike, all Hispanics don't think alike, and a number of other folks. I would say the same thing about this nature of learning styles, because we don't have the same learning methods, and we have to make sure that our students understand that, and even our educators understand that as well. So that's something that Kelly Jones talks about, and then she's been on a number of podcasts, and I have to put her in touch with you because I think she's a UNC graduate and all in that space. So I have to put her in touch because she definitely does around that conversation. That's one of her passion projects that she gets very much into.
Same here. And also, I'm going to be offering learning styles for our middle schoolers. I'm going to be offering learning style and communication styles for the high schoolers because they're different. And
Mhm.
then I'm going to be talking about from the college perspective. And also, guess what? Adults and leaders.
Right.
Because we all have different ways and we have different communication styles. So, how awesome is it that we understand how best not only do we take in new information and process it, but we can identify when we're talking to someone else how they are processing what we're talking about. And we
Yeah.
can that way communication can be obtained much faster and applied and implemented, opposed to you misunderstanding and get the wrong indication that that's not what the person really meant. That's just how you took it.
Yep, no doubt about that and everything. I'm going to pop off and I'm going to do a close in and everything, but this has been a
Sounds good. Hey,
enlightening
listen,
conversation, and I've
thank
definitely
you so
thoroughly
much
enjoyed it.
for coming in. Mark has been awesome. He's an awesome producer with Pod TV. I want to thank Nicholas and Kim Calhoun for all of the things that they do right here on Pod TV to make this platform available for us to be able to come on and share this information, not only locally, but globally. We're in 200 countries. So there's no reason for you not to join us on Monday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on Pod TV for the Maxine Pearl Phillips Life Strategy Show. It is about the strategies that you put in place to get you where you are today. And guess what? We can help others move forward in their life as well. I want to thank you for being a part of tonight's being my special guest for coming on. Thank you, Tony Mercer, for coming on and saying happy birthday. And thank you, Mark, for just sharing this space with me this evening. The most important thing is for you to understand that you have the power to live your legacy and you need to do it now. I believe in you and I trust you believe in yourself. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a good evening. This is Maxine.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.